What is up, guys? Rick Kakis here. Thank you so much for joining me, and today we are going to be going over the 5 worst Warlock Exotics in Destiny 2. These are exotics that see almost no PvE or PvP play and are drastically inferior to other alternatives. These are exotics I really believe Bungie should take a look at and hopefully buff to increase the amount of variety and gameplay within Destiny 2. If you agree, please support the video. Now, I did already do the 5 worst Titan exotics in Destiny 2, and I upset a lot of people who come at the bottom of the scoreboard. Just kidding. Guys, if any of the exotics you use and enjoy using are on this list, don't let me stop you. What you're doing is clearly working, but there's probably better options out there. Alright, now let's start here with the Stagg Exotic Helmet. This has the intrinsic perk Dearly Departed, grants rift energy when you are critically wounded. Upon your death, creates a healing rift on your corpse. So why is this thing bad? Well, its exotic ability is broken up into 2 parts. Firstly, getting rift energy when you're critically wounded is somewhat useful. That's when you want access to a healing rift, when you're critically wounded, and getting a big chunk of your ability back anytime that happens can save your life, definitely. But it's not so big of a chunk because often you'll get this active and you won't even recharge your rift. It'll go up, it'll go maybe from 0 to halfway, but that's about it. And that's not really worth an exotic slot. The second part of this exotic provides a rift when you're dead. Now, can you guys think of a worse time to get a healing rift for yourself? When you're already dead. That is a pretty useless healing rift. Now, of course, it can help your allies, and that's why this ability exists. But think about a lot of PvP and PvE scenarios. If you're dead, you're often not in the best position. You just got destroyed by a hammer titan. You got team shot by 4 guys. If you drop a healing rift and your teammate runs into that rift, he's also just gonna die. The healing rift is not gonna help you against either of those scenarios. It isn't that likely that you're in the perfect position where a rift would help and then you just barely die and your teammate is right around the corner and can gain access to that healing rift and make the most of it. That's a pretty niche scenario, and really, again, it's not worth giving up your exotic slot to. Now, in terms of buffs that would make the Stagg better, firstly, a lot easier to trigger the rift energy gain, perhaps not quite at critically wounded, perhaps maybe at half health, it would trigger and it would give you more. Just getting access to a lot more rifts more often is actually pretty useful. Just that change may be enough to get this a lot more utility. But it is time to move on from there to another exotic warlock helmet, the Verities Brow. This has the exotic intrinsic perk, the 4th Magic. Energy weapon kills boost grenade recharge rate for you and nearby allies. So, why is this bad? I mean, that sounds like a really powerful ability. You just go and get kills with energy weapons, and there's a lot of good energy weapons out there. And then you get more grenades more often for yourself and your allies. Sounds great. But that's kind of why this exotic is so bad. It's such a powerful ability that Bungie was extra cautious, and as a result, the ability has almost no effect. Like, you'll see me in the background gameplay throwing grenades, killing enemies, quite a few, with a really good energy primary, and you definitely notice more grenade recharge, but not enough more to warrant an entire exotic slot being used on this. So the scenario of slaying out with energy weapons and granting your entire team a ton of grenade energy is a little bit far off. It's going to grant them a noticeable amount, but nothing insane. And gaining access to more grenades, I mean, you can do the same thing with the Demolitionist perk on a weapon. So you're giving up your exotic slot just to get more grenade recharge that you can get from a weapon perk. So that's another big downside. Now, in terms of a buff, well, all you need to do is make this ability more powerful. Just increase the amount of grenade energy you get for a kill with an energy weapon and boom, you're good to go. Go a little too far and this thing is the best exotic in the game. Seriously, you gotta be careful with this ability, but right now it's tuned too low. In any event, we gotta move on to the next Warlock exotic on our list at number 3, and that is the Wings of Sacred Dawn exotic chest piece. This has the intrinsic perk when Dawnblade is equipped, aiming weapons while you're in midair suspends you there for a short time. Weapon hits extend this effect's duration. And that's kind of it. And there we kind of see the start of the downfall of this exotic. It's for sure a cool ability. You jump up into the air, ADS, and you just stay there. And you can get the jump on other Guardians in the Crucible, and you can find some interesting angles in PvE. PvE, it's definitely least useful there, but I digress. The problem is that other exotics are giving you better recharge for your abilities and all this powerful stuff and extra grenades and crazy stuff, and this doesn't do anything to improve your lethality. It just makes you up there when otherwise you'd be down there, right? Like, that's all it really does. It also doesn't help that it only works with the Dawnblade. You could potentially see a lot more play with this exotic if they changed it to any subclass out there. I don't see why it has to be the Dawnblade. Also, it turns out if you're playing even half decent players, the last place you want to be is in the middle of the air with absolutely no cover around you. You're gonna get shredded. You're gonna get like 2 kills off the surprise factor and then you're just gonna get bodied. So, in terms of a buff, I would say extend it so that any subclass could use it, and I would add some other ability, a recharge rate or something when you're in midair. Like, while you're in midair, then your abilities recharge faster. And then that actually synergizes with the ability to get shots on enemies and stay in midair longer. You could actually have some cool builds with this thing if that was the case. Okay, next up at number 2, we have the Sanguine Alchemy exotic chest piece. This has the exotic intrinsic perk, Heightened Senses. Standing in a rift grants you and your allies heightened senses, allowing you to retain your radar while aiming down sights. Additionally, nearby powerful enemies are visually marked and can be tracked without line of sight. So, once upon a time, this thing actually used to be super powerful in PvP, and that's because the competitive playlist didn't have radar. So, someone with this would throw down a rift and get to see where players were through walls and stuff. Yeah, it was very good. But now, comp has radar, and therefore, this isn't really as useful. Yeah, seeing players through walls is good, undoubtedly. But the radar is pretty darn aggressive. Like, you know where players are for the most part, and it's pretty far-reaching as well. And just the reintroduction of radar made the Sanguine Alchemy's very niche scenario just in that competitive playlist where it was good. It took that away, and therefore we really don't have much viability for this exotic. And in PvE, it's completely useless. Like, it does basically nothing. Like, you can see, yeah, I can see this powerful enemy through a wall, so what? Now, what can be done to buff this? Well, it's actually still not bad in PvP. Maybe tack in something like enhanced radar so it's a little bit more accurate or a little bit further reaching, and then it would start to see play more there too. But in PvE, why not make it so that enemies marked, powerful enemies, take bonus damage? Boom. You suddenly got a very good exotic on your hands, and that's all you would need to do. Alright, it's time to move on to the last exotic we're covering today. At the number 1 slot, we have yet another exotic chest piece, the Vesper of Radius. Now, this has the exotic intrinsic perk, Planetary Torrent. Rifts release an arc shockwave when cast. Rift energy recharges faster when you are surrounded by enemies. So, in terms of the shockwave released, it's actually somewhat powerful, not powerful enough that you're actually going to be using it for any sort of actual DPS phase, but it will kill enemies nearby if you put it down. But that's kind of the thing. You don't really need that ability whatsoever. Are you really going to run in the middle of a bunch of enemies just to put down a rift to kill all of them? Why wouldn't you throw a grenade? Or why wouldn't you just shoot them? Weapons are very powerful in Destiny 2. If you have Dragonfly or something like the Sunshot, if you kill one enemy, it'll chain react to all the others nearby. And that's another thing. The Shockwave does not have a big radius. It's pretty small around that rift. So there needs to be enemies clumped together for this to get some sort of multi-kill. So again, why not just use a weapon with Dragonfly? It's really not like you're gonna need help killing a bunch of low-level enemies, and that's the only enemies you're gonna kill with this ability. Now, in terms of being surrounded and getting more rift energy back, that's totally fine. That's actually somewhat useful. But it actually isn't that much of a recharge. If it was cranked up quite a bit, and if that shockwave was substantially more powerful and had a substantially bigger radius. Like if you could actually activate it and hit enemies standing a reasonable way away, then we've actually got a potentially useful exotic on our hands. But as it is right now, it's just not worth it. Like imagine in PvP, the radius is so small, you need to walk right up to someone in shotgun range while they are plugging you in the face with the Mindbender's ambition. You are trying to put your rift down so you can hit them with a shockwave. It's not going to work out well. So yeah, Vesper of Radius and the other 4 are exotics that really do need some buffs. Guys, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, found this interesting. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you guys want to keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.